Hello everyone, this is just a really quick tutorial so you can all be up to speed with the template we've set up. Before we start, I just want to do two things. The first is show that in the bottom right hand corner over here, you should be able to see a sort of capture of my keys. So there's left click, right click, middle click, scroll up and down, and then obviously you've got all the keys and stuff over here. Before we get into anything in InDesign, I first want to just show you a couple of additional Adobe features. So the first one is called Adobe Fonts, and if we go over to here, easiest way to access it is type in Adobe Fonts, and this is a repository of hundreds of different fonts. So you can click Browse Font up here. It's a good tool for you all to learn, and they have a load of different ways of sorting. So you can do sans serif, something clean, and you can just very quickly have access to hundreds and hundreds of fonts that you wouldn't necessarily know about. So there's going to be two fonts that you need to have installed. So if I just quickly find out what the names of them are. The first one is Century Gothic, which I believe is actually a standard one. Let's just check. So if it's not, the way you can search for a font is typing up here and click on it in here. And you can see there's 4 fonts here. So you just want to activate all of them. 3 and 4. And that'll bring them into your Creative Cloud. You can see I've got the notifications coming up here. The second one that we want is P22 Underground. So once again, we're just going to search up here, P22 Underground. And once again, you should be able to click here. So we're going to go for heavy. There's obviously loads that you've got here, and we'll leave it at that for now. So yeah, if you just want to go for the heavy and activate it. The other thing I'd recommend you guys doing is looking at Adobe Color. And the reason why I think this is really helpful for you is for a couple of reasons. As someone in like the creative industry, really quickly helps you get a series of colors that sort of work together using a set of rules that are preset. You can explore and sort of rip off other people's color palettes, which I really recommend you do. And you can look at trends and stuff. So this is maybe more for graphic design than for us, but you can start to see sort of the benefit of why you might want that for a particular project or something. So find something that you like, and I'd sort of say try and keep that throughout the project. If you need to update it later on, then go for it. And the way that you activate one, let's go for this, is you click on it and you go add to library. And once again, that will pull through in the Creative Cloud. So the other thing you want to make sure you do is click on Adobe Creative Cloud. Make sure this is just opened at some point, and that will let you get all of that through. So if we head back into InDesign now, when you open up InDesign, it should look like this. What we want to do is go to Create New, Print, A4, and make sure Facing Pages is turned on. And then we want to click Create. It should bring up something similar to this. The background might be a different color. I've got mine set as white, but it shouldn't really matter. And before we dive into any settings, we want to make sure we go up to here. At the moment, I have mine set to advanced. It might be on essentials, but I think what's really best for all of you if you get it set to advanced. So I'll click on that, and I'm just going to click reset to make sure it's all exactly the same as what's here for you. The first two things we want to be going over are paragraph styles and character styles. So for now, let's bring out paragraph styles. And if you ever lose it, just like I have, you can go to type and you can go to paragraph styles. I'll tell you what, we can just leave that out there like that. So you've got that there. Just whilst I've shown that the paragraph style is there, if you ever need to add anything in, or you lose any of the little icons on the right hand side, you can find them amongst here. And this is really kind of the heart of how InDesign works. So you've got paragraph types here, and all of this can be kind of either floated or locked in by simply holding onto where it says the name and then dragging it in. So you can see you can start to add it into certain places. I quite like paragraph styles just floating. So what are paragraph styles? They let you control a series of text, and by doing so kind of save time in the end. If you ever decide that you want to change what font you have, you can alter that. You can also alter the way that paragraphs work, and at a more advanced level you can use them for a table of contents, and also to string different paragraph styles together. So it can be really helpful. What we're going to first do to explain it is we're going to go for a text box. So the shortcut is T, or you can always look over here and go to the type tool. Once you do that, just drag and drop. It doesn't matter for now, and go in there. So we'll just type in some random stuff in there. So DS4, hello, welcome to InDesign. And we'll just do that. We'll hit enter twice and then do test text box 1. So put whatever you want in there, and that's really good. We'll show you some other cool features you can do in InDesign later. So to create a paragraph style, you want to come over to here and click create new style, and that will bring up a name called paragraph style 1. So we want to select all of our text and click paragraph style 1, and that you can now see is highlighted here. So you want to double click on it there, and it brings up the options. So let's call this body, and we'll start off with the basic of what we want. And we're going to go to basic character formats here, and we're going to do Century Gothic. So click on here, and we can see the font that we have there. You can change the styles here. So we've got italic, bold, italic, but for now we'll go for regular, and we'll leave the size as 12. So we can amend this as we want, and go for there. And you can see it's created now. So if we make another text box by pressing T, and we do hello DS4, we can click on body and it will highlight it. We can also do it as individual paragraphs. So this is where paragraph styles start to become more complex. So every time I hit enter, it's basically making a new paragraph, and we can change each of these individually. So you can start to build up a sort of compilation of different fonts and stuff really easily that you can change. We're going to make a couple of different paragraph styles. So if we click on body and we click duplicate style, and we'll do body bold, and we'll duplicate style and we'll do body italic. So that's 3 different paragraph styles. At the moment, they're all the same. You can see as I'm both clicking on the text box and changing them, but also clicking on it here, nothing has changed. So how do you change it? If you first click on body bold, I'll show you the first way. So make sure that that's selected, don't let it default back to body. We can go up into our text pane here and click on bold, and you can see it brings up a little plus sign. So what we want to then do is right click, redefine style, and that saves that area as body bold. So you can see now we've got 2 types, we've got bold and we've got standard. The other way you can do it is without touching anything at all. So if this is all set to normal body, make sure we're clicked off it, so in here, and we can double click and do body italic. And we can go to basic character formats and we can do italic here, and we can click OK. So what we also want to do is link our italic and our bold back to the normal body. And the reason why this is if we ever decide later on that we want to change our font, they'll automatically update based on whatever is in body. So once again, double click on body italic and base it on here, body. You can see it brings up style settings, body plus italic. So same style plus italic, and as that gets more and more developed, obviously adds more information in there. So if we do that again for bold and click here. So let's copy and paste test text box 1 within the text box area. So to get into the text box, you can double click and it will come in here. The other way you can do it is press T, and that will either give you the option to create a new text box like that, or you can click in here and it will let you change it. So let's set these bottom 3 to italic and then these top 3 to bold. You can see whenever I write anything in between these, it's going to come up with the sort of applied setting between those two areas. So if we ever decided that we wanted to change our font, as I said before, now italic and bold are linked together. I can do all of that and it will come up. If it ever shows red like this, it means it doesn't have something. And InDesign works differently to Word. So each font is almost sort of characterized as a different font with not everything will have italics or bold. So you have to make sure all the fonts you have will have the ones you want. If it doesn't, it will try and find the nearest one by putting it in red, but it will let you know. So you can see quite a lot of them don't necessarily have what we want here. So let's go back to Century Gothic because that's what we've got in our main document, and click OK. And I'm just going to create a folder. So this is a really good way of organizing how things are done. And we're going to call this body. Oh, body fonts. And then in here, we can drag all of those in, and that keeps that neat, so we can have that there. The other one we wanted is to have our title, so we're just going to create that now, and we're going to have two types of title. We're going to have the main title and then heading. So we want to go to create new style. Oh, is that creating that? That's creating all of that within there, so we obviously don't want that. Let's click delete. Click on make sure basic paragraph is selected, create new style, and we're going to call this one title. And then we're going to go to here. And if you find it easier to do all of this up in the top left hand corner and then right click redefine, go for it. It's whatever works best for you. So where are we? P22. So I've just typed it out there, and let's go for is that too big? Possibly. Let's go for 36 for now, or 24 even, and we can click OK. And then once again right click, duplicate style, and then we're going to call this heading. And then let's make a new group and call it title / heading. You really want to be creating as many paragraph styles as you sort of think there should be, so we'll go into some more of the niche sort of ways of doing it later. Let's double click on heading here, and because the heading should be smaller, let's put that to 18. And then the other thing you can do is change the character color. So we could go for pink, but we're going to go for a light grey. So let's go for, say, 70% grey now. And we want to click on that there and click OK. So you can see we have the two different ones here. And we're also going to change this title to that. So far you have a series of body fonts and you have a series of headings. What we're going to do now for all of these is right click and do duplicate styles of the body and click off that. So if we create a new text box, we go to body copy, and we go hello. What we all want in certain areas is for that to align to the right. So if we click up here, the justification to align to the right, and then you can click redefine style. And then I'm just going to change this to body right. So we want to do that to all of them. Change the name and update. So that's done that to all of them on the right because they were all selected before. If they weren't, then they wouldn't have done that. And also the fact that they're all linked together through body means they'll automatically do that. So whenever you're putting text on the page, it's going to be really quick now for you to do all of that. If you ever want to change your sort of main body font, you can then go into here and do it, and it's going to update everything, which is really good. I think it's going to hopefully save you guys a lot of time. And click here. So the only other one that I want to do is make a title and heading. As I said at the beginning, the paragraph styles can kind of have quite a few additional features in them, and one of them is that they can automatically update the table of contents. And to do that, we'll make a new group which can be underneath here. I'm going to just call it TOC for table of contents, and going to duplicate these styles, move them into here, and then we're going to rename these title, TOC, heading, TOC. So we're going to come back to these at the end, but just leave those like that for now. And just so that later on we know what we're doing, if you want to click on this text box, press Alt and move it to the right or down, that will let you duplicate it. So we're going to select the title, TOC, heading, TOC, and then these ones are not going to be that. So they're just going to be on heading and title. It looks like I've put the wrong ones in. It shouldn't matter so much. Let's just take the name out of that. Perfect. Okay, so we'll come back to that. So as I said at the beginning, there's character styles and paragraph styles. What you can see there is everything that's a paragraph style, and why paragraph styles are helpful. If we take this text box, duplicate it across, and fill it with some placeholder text. So if I wanted to bring out just a sort of set few words within a paragraph for some emphasis, and I try and change this to bold body, it's going to change everything because it's all part of the same paragraph. So this is really where character styles help. Unfortunately, they can be linked. I personally don't know how to do it easily, but what we're going to do is create a couple of character styles, and we're going to do one that's called bold, body bold. And for this, we can just take that to there, and then that should create this new sort of set here. So we've got body bold there, and as we highlight stuff, we can then change individual words. So that's kind of really the benefit. So you can do that for as many of these you want. You only need to do body, italic, and bold, as well as maybe title and heading. So there really should be a lot of paragraph styles and a few character styles, or else your document will start getting quite complicated. You can see here as well, if I select everything and put body bold, and then I try to change the paragraph style, all it will keep is the alignment. It won't let me change much else. So you want to try and keep everything on character styles none, and then just if you're pulling out a few words, keep it like that. So that's really the way I'd sort of suggest that you set those two up. Okay, so that's paragraph and character styles, or hopefully what you need to know most of that. We're then going to just go and show you how to set up some pages. So to zoom in and out in InDesign, you want to go like so. So you can press the plus or the minus button, and that will allow you to zoom in and out. I'm just going to dock these here for now. So in InDesign, there's sort of two kind of workspaces, I suppose you could call them. There's the master pages, and there's what's actually on your sheet. You can create as many sheets as you want, and I imagine these workbooks are going to end up being 100-page long or so documents. But the master pages, you only really want a few different options. So I think in the one we have maybe 6, which includes some layouts, which you don't necessarily need. But the benefit of master pages is it lets you set everything up to the same. So if I quickly go into our document here, you can kind of see that we've got loads of different pages with loads of different information. But where we have our master pages here, there's a very much sort of a set of information that you have. And we've just given some with different text boxes and sides. So if I take down this information for now, and then we'll come into it. So this is our margins and columns that we want. And to get to that, what you want to do is go to Layout, Margins and Columns. And we're going to set these variables to be the same. So I think we have 50 at the top. At the bottom, we've got 15 mil. And on the outside, we have 15 mil, which is just enough for you to get printed. And on the inside, we have 5 mil. So once we click that, you can obviously see you've got previews here and there. We can click OK. There are some additional settings you can have with internal columns. Once again, that's mainly for sort of newspaper and bookmakers rather than an architecture portfolio. And then the other thing we want to do is create guides. So you can see that you go to Layout, Create Guides, and once again, let me just check what we have there. So that's about a 5 mil guide, and you can create what you want here. So I think we're going for a 4x3 grid, and once you've done that, you can click Preview, and you want to make sure that this is fitted to the margins. You can click OK. If you've already got one set up, you can click Remove Existing ruler guides, but for now we don't, so we have that. And in addition, we're going to add just one more in. So we know we had a 50 mil, so we want it to be set to 25 mil, and hopefully, if we add that in again, there you go. So we've got middle guide at the top, and then we've got our layout pages. So that's really the kind of core of master pages. It lets you set that up, and as you can see, when we then go into our work pages along here, it gives us all of that information throughout. And where this becomes really key, we'll get into in a second. So knowing what we have there, what we're going to do is click on the text box, and we're going to make it the full height. And you can kind of automatically see that InDesign snaps to grids whenever you do stuff, or snaps to margins. It makes it really helpful to find out information. It has these pink, like magenta, lines, which is really strictly about the page. So you can see it's doing halfway there, and that's halfway in the page. And similarly there, it's halfway now in X and Y. It also has the purple ones, which are about the margins. And when you start coming to making some boxes, it will also do the same for them. So if I just do this, don't worry about doing this for now. I'm just showing you what it looks like. Press that there, and you go to there. You can see the green line flashes up to show you that. You can see there again the green line. So you can start to use some of that to help you out, set things up. We want to go to our text box. So if I zoom into the corner here, I'm going to scroll it down. We want to set it to align to the center, and that will mean it will always be equidistant there. and we want to go to our paragraph styles and click on body. And for now, let's put bottom left. We'll go into this in a second. When you click back on pages, that adds that text everywhere to the bottom left. So you can start to see that this might become a useful feature. The first thing we're going to do is add sort of what you might call a text variable, but it's not really a text variable in the sense that it's going to be a page number. So you want to go to type, insert special character, markers, current page number, and it puts a little A here. I'm going to do 2 spaces, hold shift, and then put a straight line in. You don't need to do this. You could always just do a couple of dashes or something, but this is what we have in there. And we're going to leave that for now. If we copy that across, and then we're going to keep the exact same information, but delete that and put it in front. So you're sort of doing it in reverse, double press space, make sure it's all the way over to the left and put that into there. We then want to align it over to the right. So we can click body right. And you can see if we now go back to our pages, it gives you the page number on every page without you having to worry about it. So it's like the first kind of utility and like saving we've got here. We're just going to do one more thing. So we're going to duplicate that style, and we're going to do, we're just going to call this one references, and we're going to base it on body, change that down so it's quite small, so 8, and the only other thing we're going to do is change it to dark grey. So in the template it might be slightly different to this, so you can see what have we got down here. We've got it as bold, century Gothic, bold italic, and we've got that as 8 point. So I tell you what, let's just copy that. So if we go into here, references, double click, bold italic. Great. And what we want to do is apply that to there, and let's duplicate style. And then we can redefine. Great. So this one should be on references right, this one should be on references left. Perfect. I'm going to keep both of these actually in the body font, but put them right at the bottom, just because I think it kind of makes sense, that's where it is. The next thing we're going to do to complete our footer here is create a text variable. So this is kind of really maybe a little bit more just to show you how it's done potentially in practice. But you've got a series of text variables. So I've got it set up as DS4 person and DS4 project, but you might not want to use these, but I think they're really good to learn. And you can see here that they've already got like a few different ones here. So as that starts to sort of develop in a like book type format, it can go into here. You can also have stuff like image name, which is really helpful. Modification date, so we use these when at work when we're issuing a document, etc, etc. I'm going to delete all of these for now, and we're going to do new, and we're going to call it DS4 person, and we're going to do custom text, and the text is going to be, so I'll do it for me, and we go OK, and actually let's create a new one, another one, and it's going to be DS4 project, and once again we want to go to custom text, and we're going to do let's just call it DS4 Word project, just so we can see what it's like. Great. So you want to click done. And let me just double check. So yeah, we've got the student name on the right, and then on the left we've got the project name. So press space and you go to type, text variables, insert variable, and DS4 person, and that will bring up my name. So if anyone ever, when you go into your copy of the template, you go to define, person, edit, text, and I'm just going to pick on Adam, and you go down to there, and it changes. So it's a really useful thing to get to learn, and particularly for when you're in practice for different projects, etc. So go down there, and then same again. We're going to insert text variable, DS4 project. That brings it all up on every single page now at the bottom. It's starting to look like a coherent document. What else have we got in there? So that's kind of it for now on the footer front. When we do these, you can duplicate a master spread. So actually, for now, let's, if I click Create Guides and we remove the existing ruler guides and have 0, 0, we can treat this as like our base. Then we can click New Master over here and base it on a master. And we can call that, let's call it B. And we'll call it a 5x4 grid. Okay. So what that does is it adds a load of information from the A master, and instead of it being a completely blank page, it will take information over, such as the footer. And the reason why that's useful is because we then go to Layout, Create Guides, do our 5x4. And then we can also do another master, and we'll do based on a master, and it can be 4x3, and it keeps all of that information again, 4x3, so on and so forth. So you can start to see that actually a lot of information gets carried over, and when we do our ruler at 25mm in here, it should carry that information across. So you can start to save yourself a lot of time. How does that look like when you go into it? So A master is always going to be set on almost all the pages. If you want to use the B master, you can just drag and drop it, and you can see it changes the letter here, and that adds all that information over. So it really helps when you're trying to quickly create good templates to work into. Oh, it's the B master there. So yeah, you can go from there, and all that information's there. So let me quickly flick back into our template. We've got 4x3, 5x5, 2x3, and then we've got some setups. So let's actually edit this one to be the 5x5. Remove the guidelines. Five by 5, 4x3, 2x3. So we've got 4x3, and then finally we want to have 2x3. Yeah, and that's kind of the heart of the majority of the work you'll be doing. We then have sort of in the template a set of additional information on here. So it starts to set out how a text box, for example, will appear on the page and how you can use it. And we can come into this in a second, and you can start to see that information is then broken down. into sort of text pages and stuff. So not going to create all of these, but as you can kind of see, it becomes really easy to get that information across. And the reason why you want to start creating those is when you create a text box or anything. So I pressed M, which just gives me a shape for a rectangle, and if we color it in blue, it doesn't really matter. And we start to add information into here. So if I take that across, and you can see you can go to presentation mode by pressing W. Oh, look at that! I've done it in the main page. So if we go to B and we paste that in, you can see it starts to appear. You can't actually touch it for now, and the way that you can, so if we apply B to these ones here, is pressing Control, Shift, and click, and that'll activate it, and then you can start to move it. So we can delete all of that, and we can go from there. So that becomes really useful when you're trying to quickly add photographs in. You can just press Control, Shift, hover over to click, and then let's see, I've just got some random pictures in here that can start to really help set that information out. And there are some object styles that have been set up to allow for that as well. So obviously these aren't perfect. You can drag and drop those into there. You can go from there. So this might be a good time to talk about some of the picture frame options that you have in InDesign. So you can see when I dragged and dropped it in, it's immediately, if you double click, it's immediately a huge picture. So it's massive compared to the A4. And the way that pictures and images work in InDesign is it sort of has a double frame. The first frame, when you initially click on it, which is blue, is like a cropping frame. And then when you double click on it, it's the actual image. So you can normally scale pictures down. To bring that really quickly into sight, what you want to do is click so it's the blue frame, and you can go up to the set of controls up here and do fill frame proportionally. And what that's going to do is going to keep the scale proportions but fill the frame. You can also do fit content. So if we drop another picture in here, and if I just do that to start off with, and then go like that, so it's a bit bigger now. We can click on this one. You can see it's going to snap it so it completely fills the frame, leaving some area left. You've also got fit frame to content, so that will snap it to the size of the content. And then if I go back to that, fit content to frame, you should never really be doing that at all. It's just going to distort the images that you have. So yeah, I think this one's generally going to be the most useful, fill frame proportionally, just to get your images in. So apologies for these not being architectural photographs. You have them there. The other feature is auto fit. So if I delete all of this, and we've got that there, auto fit will keep the proportions of the frame as best as it can. And always choose the widest point. So you can see as I make it smaller in the X and Y direction, it's staying the same height. If I do it the other way around, it will get taller to fit that. And the reason why you often want that ticked is if you don't, then you've got to move the frame and then the image. And to keep the image, when you're rescaling proportional, you want to click Shift. So you can see kind of there's a few different tools there. Let's keep it on that. So yeah, you've got all of these. You've got center content, so that's obviously really helpful. As this is a cropping box, you can move it across, and then obviously you can recenter like that. Some of the other great features you have, so if I just turn this all off for now, and we make some rectangles, so all to just do like that, and you can kind of see that all of these are all over the place. If you wanted them so that they're evenly distributed, you can distribute the horizontal center, so that's taking a midline through all of them and making sure they're there, together, as well as you can do it on the horizontal, so that's taking the average height of all of these and stretching them. So it can be a bit, it can be quite helpful if you've got stuff of the same size. Unfortunately, it doesn't distribute the spaces evenly between the frames, which would be the most useful in my opinion. So you've got that. You've also got center content, so that's really helpful. So you can center it and distribute it, and then that allows you to quickly do stuff. So if you're sort of breaking this grid, which is fine in my opinion, you can start to treat all of that information kind of quite sensibly. So you can go from there, for example. And you might decide that that's like a layout that you want. Yeah. So if we go back into our master pages, so that was kind of really quickly about objects and drag and dropping images in. I suppose the only other thing to mention is when you're bringing files in, you can click place. So this gives you actually quite a few more options in what you're doing, particularly if you're using Illustrator. So for example, I've got this file, and you can click show import options. And if you've ever used Illustrator with artboards, it allows you to select different artboards. It allows you to turn layers on and off. And that can be really helpful if you start to develop some quite complex Illustrator files. And you want to be able to manage them. You can also do the same with PDFs. So, for example, if you take this PDF and go open, you can either select individual pages, so previewed page, you can do all the pages, or you can do arrange. So this is actually really helpful. And you can click in, and then it can start to help just input information in really quickly. So if you've already put something into a PDF and you want to go from there, this is your way to do it. So on and so forth, like that. I think the next thing to talk about, going back to our template, is going to be these two items up here. So the section and our little subheading. So the little subheading we have is pretty simple. It's just using our paragraph styles, and it's the heading. So half page spread. And what we've actually done there is edited it so that it's always going to be a capital. And the way that you do it isn't by typing everything as capitals, so like that. Do it as normal lowercase, but this option is selected on, and now we'll update it. So let's, if you click that over here and redefine style, now you can see my caps locks isn't on, it's off. And if I type anything, it's lowercase, and then we go to headings and it'll be uppercase. So it's a really good way to set that up. And then the other item we have is our title. So I've realigned that to the bottom there, and we lift it up a little bit, and let's make that also caps. And what we've done is we've actually used something called section, and this uses one of those sort of text variables we were talking about earlier, but instead of it being under text variables, insert special character markers, section marker, and all it's going to say for now is section. And the reason why that is because we need to set up sections in our document. So you can see it's not here. And the way we do that is by right-clicking on a page, numbering and section options, and start section, because this is the start of the document, will be called that. And it's going to be called section marker. Let's go for introduction. And it'll automatically put that in there. So you can see as we start adding pages, that's all still saying introduction. It's because we need to change what section it's under. And let's pretend, for example, this is our title page. This is all under introduction. Got contents page here, and then this is maybe page 1 of the actual document. So you want to right click over here, numbering in the sections options. Start section will automatically be ticked here, and we can do experiment 1, and that will bring that up there. If we create another one over here, and we can call it experiment 2, it'll go to there, so on and so forth. And what this means is actually, if you've got a full bleed image that isn't using this 50mm at the top, so for example, if we go here and you want that all over the page, it will still keep that as the section. And what we can do, and we will do, is we'll add it into here so it defines the section marker. So no matter where you are in the document, you can start to add all of these sections in, which can be linked on the footer here. The other thing we're going to do as well is treat this as a table of contents item. So once again, if we go over to our paragraph and we click on our title, TOC, that we had earlier, and actually what I should have done here is base it on the title setting. So you can see it's bringing through the caps locks here. We can then go back to our page, experiment 2, and you can see you can't touch that. So what we want to do again is Control Shift left click, and we'll do that for both of them. Now that's activated in here, it's going to register that this particular paragraph style is there. So as I said, you might wanted this to be the table of contents. So we can go to Layout, Table of Contents, and because this all uses paragraph styles, we're going to go to Title, Table of Contents, and let's add in the heading as well. So title, and you can also add a heading here. So you could use this in terms of like different sections, and then within that you could have different subheadings. We're going to treat it all the same for now, so we want to change that to level 1 there. And where we have the title, we want to actually change this to body. Obviously we don't want the huge size of that coming up on the contents page, and we want to have page number. I personally think it's better if it's before entry, and then we're going to select that as our character style of body bold. And then once again we're going to do the same here, so body, before entry, body bold. We can click OK, and that's going to bring that in here. So if I do that, now you can see experiment 1 isn't there, even though it's got the section title, and that's because we need to activate it. At the moment it doesn't speak to each other, so we need to shift left click on there. Experiment 2 is actually coming from here, so let's make a new numbering and section options and call it experiment 3, and you can see that's there. So that's already updated. It won't update here until you click Layout, Update Table of Contents, and it'll automatically update there. I think the other thing to do as well is remove the title from this. You've got contents, and you can click OK. And you can see that starts to add the table of contents information based on what section markers we have. So it can start to kind of come quite useful. If you ever want to remove a section, so let's go to there, numbering in sections. So we right clicked on the little arrow number and section options and untick start section. And what that will do is remove that area. So it's now experiment 1 all the way to experiment 3. The other thing we're going to do is quickly add our section marker in here. So type, insert special characters, section marker, and then we can put a comment in like that. And then once again, introduction, DS4 wood project, and my name. And it will go throughout the document and update all of that, so it's all kept as information you can retain. So you can kind of see how that might be quite useful. As I said again, we've set up a load of different areas that you can do. We also have a few different paragraph styles, so I've separated them all in here. Table of contents is obviously there, the body styles are there, the reference styles are there, character styles are all here, and that should all help you get into there. And I think that is probably about it. The only thing to discuss from there is when we want to PDF, you go to File, Export, and if you select Interactive, you can have all of these sections mark up as bookmarks in your folder. So if we do test DS4 1, click on there, and the difference between pages and spreads, pages will do the individual A4s, so it will print as, so these 2 pages here will print individually. So when you're going through the PDF, it's going to be like that. Versus spreads, it will treat them together, so you get an A3. So for almost everything you're going to want to do, you're going to be wanting to do it like that. You can also set these up for printing, but don't worry about that now. We can maybe do that at the end if you want. And you want to click create tagged PDF. So let's see how this works. And you can see you've got experiment 1, experiment 3. I've not done it as spreads. So there you go. That's what pages looks like, and spreads looks like that. So you can see does it as double page spreads. The other thing, if I'm doing a presentation, I often find that I'll do it as print. And the reason is you can kind of have much better control of how fine stuff works. So I normally do small file size, go to compression and put that to 300 dpi for both. And I find that sometimes actually makes it a significantly smaller PDF than doing it in the other way, which is great if you don't want to wait when you're standing up presenting. So I think, as I said, that is main things from that. I'm sure there'll be some questions at some point. I've given a little explanation over here to the right about how different things work. And then we've got throughout all of this different examples of setups. So you can see here I started having a little bit of fun with the different colors. So that's maybe something I didn't actually mention is window CC libraries is where you can find all of those colors, and it becomes really easy to just change the colors based on that. I think you can also get these as like a little pop out. No, you can't. You can add it to your swatches, which is basically up here. You can add different swatches. So there you go. Hopefully that was useful. And if you've got any questions, give me, Jonah, Mickey a shout, and we'll be happy to help.